Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tasia, but you can also call me Tay, and welcome in. I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm also super excited to be back on Metropolis. I know it's been a minute since I've been on this island, and that is because life has been pretty crazy. I actually got COVID for the very first time ever, and you know what? That was not fun. It was not fun. I was pretty much out for a week, but luckily my symptoms were pretty low, but I did end up losing my voice, so I couldn't really record any videos on top of not feeling so great, so I did have to take a break from making videos, but I am back and I'm super excited to be back. We are going to continue building on this island, which is my superhero slash comic book themed island. I cannot wait to show you guys what I have in store. But before we get into that, I would greatly appreciate if you guys could like and subscribe. I would love to have you guys join this community that we are building here. Now let's get into today's video. Okay, so here we are at my island entrance. I will be doing a little bit of chatting here in the beginning just to give a little recap and kind of explain what my plans are for this island. Here's Mira. She completely ignored me, which, you know what, that's fine. It's totally fine. I guess she's busy. She has superhero business to do. But she also went through the tunnel over there because that's going to be another build that I do later in the series of me building out this island. But coming up from the subway entrance, I was honestly struggling so hard of what to do with this transition. Also, I do have a sunken pipe. You'll find out what that is later. I'm super excited about that concept. But as you can see, I have quite a lot of terraforming going on, and that's because I actually did do some builds and I tore them all down. Here I did a little Citycore transition build as well, like a city landscape, and I tore it down because I wanted to rebuild it. It actually took me forever to figure out how I wanted to do that build, and you know what? Honestly, sometimes it's just better for me to make a build and then tear it down and rebuild it for you guys and actually record it, because my first time around when it comes to building is very chaotic. I honestly would probably sit around and edit for hours just editing out all the times I changed things out. So in terms of efficiency, it's definitely better for me to just tear down a build and rebuild it so I can record it the second time around. But we are starting on today's build. I will be making a little Citycore transition, but as I said, it took me so long to figure out how I wanted to do this. That's also kind of why I took quite a bit of a break from the channel, because I was really trying to figure out how I was going to do the rest of this island. I honestly thought it would be a lot easier to do this island theme, but I'm finding it kind of difficult, but I do want to stick with it. I'm not going to reset or anything. I'm super excited about the ideas that I have for this island. I was just really struggling though with figuring out how I was going to fit all of my ideas onto this island, because a lot of my ideas are going to take up a lot of space, and the placement of my resident services honestly isn't in the best location, so I literally had to sit down and map out pretty much my entire island before even starting my next build. So that was kind of crazy, a little bit stressful. Honestly, I haven't really struggled this much with coming up with designs for an island as much as I have for this one so far. So it's definitely new for me. I'm still figuring out different ideas, but definitely leave your guys' suggestions down below. I do pretty much have the entire map laid out already in my mind, but I could always fit in little fillers here and there, of course. But right now we are working on a transition from the subway into the main part of the city. And what's also kind of difficult is we are already on the second level of this island, so my buildings aren't going to be as tall. And in order to make them feel a little bit taller, I'm going to be using a lot of the medieval walls and just building sides as well. So there was seriously a lot of trial and error when it came to me figuring out how I was going to make buildings on this island, because again, I really want to dive into the whole Citycore style, so I want to do some skyscraper type buildings, and that is a little difficult when you only have one level of a cliff to work with. So working with really tall items helped in that regard. So you're going to see me using a lot of medieval building sides on this island, I'm pretty sure. But I do want to make them look like a skyscraper, so I will be putting simple panels in front of them with different window designs And honestly, at the end of this, I am pretty happy with how this turned out. Something else that you may notice is, though it is a superhero island, I feel like you're not really going to be able to tell that it's a superhero island until everything is completely done. I do have specific builds in mind, as I said, but when it comes to me actually making speed builds and stuff, it's just going to look like regular Citycore until I add in specific codes or specific items. And even just having my villagers walk around the island I think will really help in terms of giving off the style of the theme that I'm going for. So I feel like it's very much a trust the process kind of island, which is very different for me, and I don't know, I've just never really struggled with a theme like this before, but I'm super excited for the challenge. I'm really excited about the ideas I have for this island. And I hope you guys will stick around for it because it's going to be a lot of fun, I think, in the end. So here I'm working on this one building, and I use the wide display cases as well as those like diner tabletop item. I honestly forget the name of them because I wanted it to look a little bit like a retro or futuristic kind of store. I feel like I would picture it as like a record store or maybe a comic book store. I'm not really sure how to change it up to make it really look like that. I feel like with these builds I'm definitely going to be making the base of them, and then once I get certain items I will add them in later to add in all those like final touches and really give off the theme that I'm going for. So again, it's very much trust the process, very much you'll see it come together as I do certain builds, but I do want to keep it fun for you guys. I don't want to just be making buildings every single speed build, so I will try to break that up, add in all those fun quirky kind of builds because those are my favorite. And I do manage to do that towards the end of this speed build. I'm super excited with the details that I add towards the end. But yeah, right now I'm just working on all of these building sides, and I also kind of wanted to talk about the comments that I received from the first video, which they were all positive, and I really appreciate when you guys leave comments for me. It makes me super excited that you guys are excited for different builds and themes that I work on. And I did see that a lot of you really wanted me to add in a villain to this island, and trust me, I definitely do plan to have a villain. I'm still debating on if it's going to be a villain that I add in terms of like another resident rep, or if it's going to be one of the villagers. I really want to have Gaston, I don't know if that's his name, or Gasto, something like that. I'll go ahead and put him on the screen right now. But he definitely looks like a comic book kind of villain to me, especially with his little mustache, so he is exactly who I wanted to be my villain for the island, but I don't have his amiibo and I haven't seen him on any treasure islands that I visited, so I feel like it's going to be very hard to find him through villager hunting, so I'm not sure if I'll get him. I really would love him, but I'm just not sure if it's going to happen, so I may or may not add in a rep to be my new villain. But I do have an idea of exactly like what the villain is up to. Of course, I want to make like a villain lair. I'm planning on making a superhero headquarters build. I have so many fun ideas that I really want to incorporate on this island. So I just wanted to say I've seen your guys' comments. I love all of the suggestions you guys have provided so far, and definitely continue to send those my way because I would love to incorporate them as much as I can. But yeah, this is honestly so fun, and I feel like already though this island feels super small because like I said, these builds are going to take up so much room, so I'm really trying to do my best to make everything compact and really fit together in a certain way. Again, very much trust the process. I'm working on the foundation first. So all of those superhero references and builds will come as I just make the island. And also here I tried to do a little apartment building. It didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to, probably because I don't really like the codes as much, so I'll probably change those out. I'm still really figuring out what codes I want to keep, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm running out of room. I feel like that's going to be a common theme for this whole island, is me running out of room in terms of my codes, in terms of island space. I just really am crossing my fingers everything comes together the way that I would like. And this is the point when I kind of finished the build that I wanted to show today, but it just felt way too short. So I decided to continue building. You are going to see some road code and designs that I do on the left side of this build, so just pretend you didn't see that. It's likely going to change anyway alleyways. But here I'm working on a little alleyway right next to this building, and this is essentially the reason why I have this sunken pipe here. I'm still not really going to give away the purpose of the pipe quite yet because I am super excited about that, so you guys will find out what the pipe is for in a future build, so leave your guesses down in the comments what you think this pipe is going to lead to. I'm very curious what you guys think. I did leave a little hint on that fence right there, so leave your guesses down in the comments, but this is going to be a little alleyway that's in between two apartment buildings. I want to make it kind of dark and eerie. Also, speaking of, I do think this island is going to be set at nighttime because I use a lot of light features throughout my builds on this island so far, and they look so good at night, so I'm super excited with how that looks. So definitely the DA will be set at nighttime, and maybe every now and then when I show off the final builds, I will show you guys what it looks like at nighttime. But for this one, I think I will keep it in the day. But yeah, so I'm really trying to incorporate a lot of light posts. And also in my previous video, I told you guys that I was really struggling with figuring out how I could balance a more realistic kind of city core with a cartoony style. And I feel like I've kind of achieved that in a little bit. One, it is Animal Crossing, so it already looks pretty cutesy, but also the codes that I'm using do help with that whole cartoony style. And I do agree with some of you who have said that I could balance those two styles by using a lot of pops of color, which I definitely plan to do. However, today's build does turn out more gray and toned down just because we are like in the heart of the city, but a lot of the builds I will be doing will have a lot more color to them, so even this little part that I do in a few minutes is going to be a little bit more colorful compared to the other buildings. So yeah, I definitely do plan to blend the two styles. Again, I really want it to be like skyscraper city core, so I'm really trying my best to make huge buildings and use fun codes. And so far, I do think I am achieving that. It always takes a minute to really get the feel for what your island is going to look like, especially when you've only done like the island entrance. So I'm definitely in that like weird growth area of making an island and figuring out what the style is that I'm trying to go for. But it's always super fun once you see everything come together. So right here, back to the build, I've kind of rambled a lot more than I usually do in my other builds, but it has been a while, so I did want to update you guys on everything going on with the island and my thought process and the ideas that I have going on. So yeah, but back to the build. Right now I'm working on this little roundabout, and this is probably the most exciting part of the build, honestly, because I add in a super fun detail towards the end. But I did want to add in some more skyscrapers. I wanted it to feel like you entered the heart of the city on this island right from the exit of the subway station, so I'm really trying to add in a lot of these fake buildings right in the front, and I will be using a lot of inclines to bring you to different levels throughout the other parts of the island. But right here I decided to do 3 different skyscrapers around this roundabout. I just thought that would be like such a fun centerpiece, and I really do think that having diagonal roads throughout your island makes your island flow a lot better. So I really try to incorporate that as much as possible. And here's when I start to add in a little bit more color in terms of the codes that I'm using. I found these window designs, so I do stack those right on top of each other, and I do really like the style of it so much. And then the center building is going to be a little bit different with different codes, and it's going to look a little bit more grand compared to the side buildings. I found this one code and I really love it. I think it gives off skyscraper window a lot, so I wanted to use that as a centerpiece. And again, I'm really trying to add in glowing elements, so I put in those floor lights to make it look like the building's illuminated. And this building took me a minute to figure out when I first built it because I wanted it to feel very layered. I wanted it to feel pretty grand. So I also put in that, I forget what it's called, like the siren light. I'm not really sure what the item name is. And then I also put in those scorpion lamps on top just to make it feel a little bit more fancy, like it's a fancy building in the center of this roundabout. So yeah, I just think it turned out kind of cool. And I don't know, I feel like all the streets so far feel kind of empty. I was really struggling figuring out what road code I wanted to use, and I am kind of happy with this one, but I do wish there was a little bit more detail in the road. And also it is kind of good because I only use up about 9 different tiles of code space, and I do really need to find a way to add more codes because all my ideas definitely call for very specific codes and I just simply don't have the space right now. So I'm really trying to be very thoughtful in terms of what codes I'm using and where, because I'd rather use a bunch of codes that I use throughout the island than have more that I only use 1 or 2 times. So you know what, I'm still in that phase of trying to figure out how this is all going to come together. And also to add in a little bit more color, I added in those bushes and flowers, and I just think it looks so good. And here is the part that I was super excited about. I had decided to add in a monster statue. I think something needed to go towards like the first part of the island that you come to that gives off the superhero vibe. So of course there has to be a monster rampaging through the city and the superheroes are coming to save the day. So I added that in. I'm still considering if I'm going to add in a robot hero with the monster. I still don't know, but I also need to go get that item off of Treasure Island because I currently don't have it. But yeah, here is what we are working with so far. As I said, a lot of the roads just feel a little bit empty, but I think that's because I'm still building it out. I still need to add in certain items. I could easily add in benches and things like that, more light posts to make everything feel a little more realistic and lively. So it's all pretty much a work in progress as I build out this island. But you are starting to get the idea of what this island's going to look like, all the different builds I might do, and I hope you guys are excited because I am still very excited about this island theme. It's just probably going to take me a minute to figure out how it's all going to come together, but I'm super happy with how these buildings look. I love the codes. Those window codes are actually created by Horrible Gaming, so I will go ahead and leave her code down below. But here's like a wider view of the monster statue, and I think this is where you can tell it really looks like skyscrapers, and I absolutely love it. I'm really happy with how I managed to put this together considering it's on the 2nd level. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and again, leave any ideas for me down in the comments that you have of builds I could do for this island, but I'm just super excited. The next build we're probably going to do is that city landscape with a land bridge going across, so stay tuned for that. And also stay tuned for island tours that I will be doing throughout the month of October. I've been having so much fun touring some of your guys' fall islands, so make sure to turn your notifications on to make sure you get notified when I post, because it will be a little sporadic, but you will at least get 1 video a week with those island tours. But with that, everyone, that's the end of today's speed build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely consider giving this video a like if you enjoyed watching, and also subscribe if you would like to follow along with the rest of this island and other content that I make for this channel. And I hope you guys have a lovely day or night. I will see you all in the next one. Bye!